Okay, so chapter 3 is due this Friday. Let's check out chapter 3. So we have PowerShell, system PowerShell basics, desired system state configuration. We're going to use a desired system state configuration to patch our server 3. That will be done today. Now let's talk about Windows Server roles and features. We've already talked a little bit about Windows Server roles and features. We used PowerShell last week to look at roles and features. Roles are services that serve client machines. So it's not something that you really see physically on the server. It's running in the background. The features are the tools that manage the server or add something typically graphical into the Windows system. And they don't serve typically out to clients. They're more of administrator use, whereas a role is serving out to client machines. Like Active Directory services role is that allows login, username, password, and authentication purposes. Server core, we installed a server core. You've already pretty much been slapped right in the face with server core facts. We run sconfig and configure the system. So remote server management, we probably need to go over that a little bit using MMCs. PowerShell also using remote management, imaging services, dealing with offline images. I'm kind of combining the PowerShell at the top and 3.5 imaging services. We're going to do this today. Nano server deployment is something that really lost luster. This is from 2016 anyway. So Nano server is no longer implemented in the way that this here. Just do the practice questions on it, but don't try to remember anything on the Nano server. It's now for developers only, and it's for embedding it with containers, which not many people do a whole lot of something called Microsoft containers. So it's just kind of obsolete Nano server. It's supposed to be even a smaller, lighter weight than the core was, and nobody implemented it in the way they were thinking they would implement it. They thought it'd be a Hyper-V host, and that's all it would be, a really tiny Hyper-V server, but nobody did that. So no customers wanted it. They changed the way that it functions. So this is obsolete information. So yeah, test out module 3 this week. In week 4, there is a package management issue that might cause some issues. So there's this command right here that forces an install of package management. And we've had some issues running anything lower than 1.4.6. So if we copy just those 2 lines of code, and if you right click your start menu and open a PowerShell admin window, that's to say admin. Then you just, right click and paste that in, run the installer to see, does your system need to be updated or not? And they get a warning, version 1.4.7 package management is currently in use. So that's good because I needed higher than 1.4.6. So I'm running 1.4.7. I'm good. So if you copy and paste that into your system, let's hope that these new machines are all up to date. Make sure you get both lines. And then right click your start menu. And you have a PowerShell admin, Windows PowerShell admin. Did you click? Go ahead and hit enter and see what it does. Wow, clobber. Hit enter one more time and see. It's still throwing, close that window out and let's make sure you got the right open. So I think you may have clicked the wrong one. Right click the start menu again. And the one that has admin in parentheses, make sure you click on that one. Yep. Yeah, I didn't think you clicked on that one. There you go. Now, you've already got it copied, so. Now you just hit enter. Let's see. It says you need to the default is yes, so just go ahead and hit enter without typing anything. And that is going to download some new software into the system. So what has happened is over the years with security, the bad guys have figured out how to break into secure packages. So they've had to upgrade the security version. So what we had to do is the TLS version 1.2 is actually what that top part is. We had to tell it to force it to use TLS 1.2 because that's what everything is now encrypted with, is that version or 1.3 and higher. And then we had to tell it to install the package management system that was, at a certain version above 1.4.6 here, that by default, it starts using the more secure, newer protocol. If that's not installed, the patches that we try to push out into the system will fail because it can't do a security check on it. It's trying to use something called TLS 1.1 or older, or 1.0. And it's like, it can't decrypt the package because it's not using the right version. So that is what that little fix is for, is to make sure that we've updated some of the core components of PowerShell that it can decrypt and manage the newer encryption. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. Our main goal today was to work with offline packages and stuff. Let's, I guess, go ahead and get them downloading. I guess I should have done that. So if we go to Microsoft Catalog. Microsoft Catalog is going to allow us to search for patches so that we can install offline. You just let Windows Update do it all in the background, and you click restart when it says, hey, patches are installed. If we don't have a way to get patches into our servers, mostly because they're a lab environment, but you might run into situations where you have protected machines that don't have internet access for additional security, but you still want patches to fix bugs and stuff that are in the system. So our server 3 right here has no internet access. We need to figure out how do we patch the system. So we're going to do Windows Server 2019. And as we search, there's over 1,000 patches found, or files that match our keywords up here. I noticed one of the first dates up here is from 2018, so it's not ordered by date. I want to get the latest, so I'll just click on the last updated column and let the thing reload and reorder everything. So now it's going to send a query to the server and reload this page. Yep. So this reloaded. I'm going to show you something about patches. So Microsoft is putting out patches. They've got their software malicious removal tool typically installed separately, followed by cumulative updates. Cumulative updates means it has all of the patches in it since the server was first released. Cumulative. You don't have to go back and install 5, 6, 7, 8 different patches in sequential order and reboot after each time to get your system up to date. You can install one, and it includes everything from day one in one package. It also includes something called a servicing stack update. They have now made this one, it looks like in 2019 server cumulative 2. In the past, these had to be installed in the right order. 2016 server, you had to go check what was the latest servicing stack version you had, and then go list all the servicing stack patches, download all of them, and install them one by one in the right order before you could install patches. This is the patch for the Windows patching system. It's a lot of patch. So you have to patch the patching system before you can patch the system. That's hard to say. What we're gonna have to do to get server 3 up to date, we can download this servicing stack update, which will update the Windows Update service inside of server 3. Once it's updated, then we can push out the cumulative patch from August into server 3. So that kind of threw me the first time I started offline patching 2016 and the patches were failing. Thought I was typing in something wrong. Had to research it, figure out, oh, there's a separate system I have to update first. So one's 13 meg and cumulative is 500. 2016 service, like over probably almost 2 gig now because it has all the patches in it. But 2019 is newer, so it's not that ginormous. Notice from July, 506, went up to 534 each month. It's going to grow because it includes all the stuff from the old ones. So I'm going to download these two. Don't. That's not one to download. So I'm going to copy this link address, paste it in here, and there we go. It finally started downloading. So I had to right click and copy link address, paste it in a new tab for it to download. And it finally downloaded in my lower left corner down there. Until that shows up, it's not downloaded. I'm going to try this next one, 13 meg. What if no, so copy link address, apparently paste and go, and it downloaded so now I have 2 files in my taskbar. So the 2 we're getting, you had to click the last updated column to sort it. And we're getting the one from August 9th and the August 25th. So a servicing stack and the cumulative update. So they downloaded pretty quick. So once you right click and then you go back to, well, we'll go back to your other page. When you click on download, make sure you right click and tell it to copy link address. And then open a new tab and then right click and tell it to paste and go. There should be a paste and go option when you right click. And then once that's done, you should see it download, and it's downloading there down in the bottom. So now you can go back and get the other one that's 13 meg, do the same thing. Yeah, copy. And like I said, don't control V, but right click, paste and go, and it gets the other one. So let's check out. Make sure you're not up here into address bars where you need to right click and paste it. Yeah, then paste and go up there. So yeah, right click, copy link, go to the tab, right click up there and then paste and go. And then see it's downloading. Yeah. Now get the other one and do the same for it. Okay, you've got them both. So that's how you can go out and manually download specific patches for the system. I want to move those into an easily typed location. So what I'd recommend you doing is you have an ISO folder on your C drive. So I'd recommend to cut those two files that you downloaded out of your downloads folder. Those are my two right here. They're 14,000 and 546,000. I'm going to cut those out and paste them into the ISO folder on C drive. You'll have other stuff in there, but putting them to a folder location that's easy to actually remember the spelling of is going to help us out. So once they're pasted in there, we're going to shut server 3 down. So I'm going to connect directly to server 3 here. And the Hyper-V manager actually has a safe shutdown option, which will tell it's different from turn off. Don't click turn off. It won't patch correctly if it's turned off, but if you safely shut it down with the right click shutdown option, you don't have to worry about logging into it. And okay, it failed to stop. So if that doesn't work, then connect to it. Yours may shut down fine, mine didn't. So I'm going to connect to it, Control-Alt-Delete, login, pass. Server 3, yep. So mine failed to shut down. So I'm going to do sconfig and type it correctly. I'm going to do number 14 to shut the system down. So that's turned off. Might possibly be the easiest way to find the file of a virtual machine. Is check out. Yeah, go down to cancel. Cancel at the bottom, cancel. So there you go. S, now just sconfig there. No, S, just the letter S and then config. Oh, yeah, sconfig. Tap it again. There we go. And what's the number? Was it 14? Yeah, 14. So I guess probably if you just go to the settings, you can go to file settings or right click and go to settings on the virtual machine. And if you click on your hard drive, it's probably the easiest way to find it. You can click browse when you get to the hard drive, and I don't know if this is the easiest way to find it, but if you forget the location or don't know where the location, you can see it's on what drive letter, what folder. So I think I'm actually going to do a little bit different path to mount it, but I notice it's on C drive VM. Everybody should be the same C drive VM. I'll go ahead and cancel out. I'm going to leave server 3 off. We're going to open up the File Explorer window, the same one that we moved those patch files in. And we're going to go to the VM folder on C drive instead of the ISO folder. So click on your server 3. And if you right click on it, it will allow you to mount it. If you double clicked, it might do the same thing. So if you double click, then check to see if there's a new drive letter that popped on your screen. And I'm going to mount mine, and I've noticed I got a new local disk F. But if you did double click it, you look in the title bar to see if you got a new drive letter. What drive letter did you get? What new one?
I got D.
You got D, okay. Mr. Bishop, did you get D also? Let me look at your screen here. It looks like, well, click on E down there. What is E? That looks like it. E drive would have been the one that mounted. So you got E, Pedro, you got D, right? Okay. And you don't have a thumb drive or anything in your system, right? Okay. So yours connected to E drive. You can double click the users folder and you should be able to see administrator Contoso in there. Yep. That way you know it's yours. You can go and back out of that. Just click on C drive. I'm going to click off of mine. So you got to remember the drive letter that you're on for these next steps. So it's pretty neat. We can actually see inside that virtual disk out of server 3. So with it being mounted, now here comes the fun part. We'll use some PowerShell to patch it. I'm going to go ahead and look at back to my ISO folder. I'm going to look at these file names here. The small file is the one that has to be installed first. So it's the KB 500 511.2. You see that? So I'm just going to kind of keep that on my screen so I know that it's that one. Now let's right click the start menu and launch a Windows PowerShell with admin privileges. And just a little tip. If you're on an older system and it doesn't have PowerShell, I'll show you that the properties of your taskbar settings does have an option in here to replace PowerShell with command prompt or vice versa with the little slider. So if I right click, it shows command prompt now. That's old school. Microsoft's trying to get away from the command prompts and go completely PowerShell. So there's a little slider with the taskbar settings that can change that if you happen to be on an older system. Likely you're not going to run into that, but it's there just in case somebody's done something odd. Okay, so you're right here, right? Let's go ahead and change into the ISO folder, CD /ISO, and hit enter. You should have C:\ISO as your prompt. Once you type change directory space /ISO, very similar to microcomputer operating systems class. If you got to take it, just the slash is the other direction. Let's type in add dash Windows package, tab through, but add dash Windows. You can tab through or finish spelling out package. Add Windows package. And this is what they were talking about in chapter 3 of test out. They talk about desired system state. This is the PowerShell command for managing with the desired system state. And they first talk about a program called DISM for desired system state. It's a command prompt.exe, old school command, but we're using PowerShell command instead. It's basically the same thing, just implemented in PowerShell instead of an old DOS command. It's still a command line, but a little bit newer. So we're going to add Windows package. And if you were to Google add Windows package and read up on it, you could see the different switches. So add Windows package. You remember me talking about these brackets last week?
Yes.
Notice there's not a bracket around that one. Add Windows package, I have to put dash package path. And I have to follow it with a string. Where is it located at? So let's do that. So it has to be dash. I start typing the word package and I hit tab and it typed the rest of it for me. I'm pretty fast typer, but I'm not that fast typing. And plus the tab complete, when it completes, I know it's spelled correctly. So I'm put space, and as in Linux, if the file is in your current directory, you can do a ./ for current directory. The period means current, / means directory, so that's current directory. Go ahead and go. What are the names? Okay, let's start with Windows. So I'm just going to type Win, and I'm going to start hitting tab. My first tab actually finds the larger patch, the 5102. I don't want that one. So I'm going to hit tab one more time, and it's going to cycle. So the PowerShell is pretty cool in that you can, if you type the first few letters, it'll cycle through all the ones that also begin with those first few letters. So if you type WIN, as you hit tab, it's going to cycle through all the ones that start with WIN to let you get to the one you need. Okay, I'm going to hit space. Let's look at the help screen one more time. We have ignore, prevent pending, no restart, online, Windows directory, system drive. There's another one down here. It's got path in it. So a little bit different. I don't know why they have two different ones. Oh, online versus offline. Our server 3 is offline. We shut it down. We're down here. That's a little confusing if you've never messed with PowerShell and never done desired system state. Yes, I don't expect you to know this next week. So
with these domains, everything we use in PowerShell will work in domain.
Yep. So offline state, just because I've done it before, it took me a little bit to look at it and jog my memory. Offline state also has a required dash path. this dash path, if we come down and look at these examples, we see an online one where it's going to install the package into your running operating system you're logged into now, and then add a file to a mounted image, dash path, and they have /offline. There's the package path to the the MSU file, that big long thing that we did. Okay, so we need a dash path. What drive letter did you mount to? Mine was F. So I'm going to have to put F : / for mine. You're going to have to put E or D, whatever, because you're different than I am. Neither one of you got F. I got F, but one of you got D, one of you got E. So type the drive. That's what server 3 mounted to. That's what we want to patch. Hit enter. See, the operation should run, and this is my first patch of 2019 server. So I didn't get any errors on the screen. It told me a restart's not needed. Was it online? No, it wasn't online. It's successfully completed, so that's good. I can hit the up arrow key and I can go over here and just backspace this MSU file all the way back to about right there to the KB, and I can hit tab until I get to the 5102 file, and I'll hit enter again. This one will take probably a much longer time to complete since it's 500 and something megabytes of patches. And if you've ever let Windows update on your home computer and ever sit there and watched it, and it always happens right whenever you need to do something really quick on your machine, and it'll sit there and grind away for an hour or 2 or 4. So it can take some time. This here is pushing that 536 meg patch into server 3. I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording of this video, and we'll see, it's 11:43. So let's see just how long this takes. We're only going to do it on server 3 just because it does take a while. I'm going to resume recording. So these took about 6 minutes, 5 to 6 minutes to install. So that's pretty good. If you replicate this at your home machine, you don't have NVMe drives and stuff like that, so you're likely to take quite some time to install a cumulative patch into the system. I could, at this time, while it's offline, I could do some other PowerShell commands and actually install role services while it's offline, because I can access the drive. I could get Windows feature offline and stuff and manage it. I don't really guess I care too much about that. Let me see if I can go ahead and, while yours is still installing. Get Windows feature. Get it from a VHD file. So I'd have to unmount the thing and connect to the VHD file, but I could access the VHD file directly and manage it. I don't want to do that though. I want to go and just exit. Before you can start server 3, you do have to unmount the drive letter. And it's called Eject when you right click on it. So if I eject that, that should allow me to start server 3. Server 3 will not start while that is mounted because something else has control of its hard drive, so it can't start with that. That's always been the biggest issue with patching these systems, and students not able to start server 3, so they forgot to unmount it. So now that I've unmounted it, I'm going to try to connect and start server 3. It should let me know that Windows is finalizing some settings because of the patch.
I can't do that until mine's.
Right, you can't do that until yours is finished installing and you unmount. So getting Windows ready, don't turn off your computer. You've probably seen those messages before if you've restarted after a patch. So it kind of let us know that, hey, our system just got patched. One real cool thing about all the new patching, I don't guess they're touting it as they did in years past, but when you patch a Windows system, it even patches the components that you don't have installed yet. Remember all those role services that didn't have checkbox by them? Those are actually on the hard drive, so you don't have to carry around a DVD or a thumb drive, and every time you install something, have to put in media into your system. But that's not the way it used to be, or that's not the way, yeah, it's not the way it used to be. Back in the past, anytime you wanted to add something to the server, it normally asked for the installation DVD or CD when you go way on back there. You always had to feed it. So it'd pull the old unpatched files off the CD, because how can you patch a read-only optical drive? You can't. So once it was installed, then you had to go install all the patches again into the system, just in case there was a file that was replaced. So it's so much better now. You install the OS, it puts everything on the hard drive, and if you want to add something, it just extracts it. But the other really awesome benefit is, once we install that cumulative update, it patched all the other stuff that's not installed yet. So if we go and enable a feature, it's going to come with the latest patches already with it. That is, you don't know how nice that is because you live in the modern time. But if you live back when we were trying to figure out how to make dirt the first time, then you realize just how great some of this stuff is.
Imagine how technology worked back in 73, 2002.
Yeah, so I started playing with computers in 92. And the first job outside of electronics was building computers in 97. And I network admin in 98. So, yeah, we were like putting modems into machines, installing Linux on it. So it'd be a dial-up ISP, because, that way a maintenance shop that was too far to run Cat5 cable or fiber to, it was just too expensive to run fiber optic out to the maintenance guy to let him check his email. We just made him dial in Windows 95, Windows 98, DOS still around, had boot floppy disk everywhere. Secretaries, my computer won't boot. Take the floppy disk out. I don't have one in there. Okay, I'll be there to remove your floppy disk in just a second. And get there, sure enough, walked in, it's like, there's no floppy in my computer. I bent down, go, flunk. You mean this thing, it's not in there? Oh, oops. It's really changed. So yeah, I started teaching in 2000. My goodness, it's changed a lot since then. It's changed a lot since 92 when I first started playing with computers.
Now it's like,
I went from DOS to Windows, and then from floppy disk to CDs and CDRs and thumb drives. Now it's pretty much all thumb drives. The optical media is
it looks funny though, like, I remember,
getting rare.
I think it was like back in 2006, like when 60 gigs was such a big deal.
Yeah,
And now it's like, you could get that in a USB drive now for like $20.
yeah, cheaper than that.
I'm like, bro.
And, you know, the 22nd, I'm supposed to have fiber inside my house. So,
So
And I'm so installing.
so now you don't even really need media. You've got network. You can transfer files so fast now. If you got Starlink in rural areas, if you don't have fiber at your area, Starlink may be something to look at. It's $100 a month, like 500 for the equipment up front purchase. But you get 150 meg internet, from what I hear. Or if you're lucky and have a rural co-op that runs fiber optic cable in front of your house, you're like, for $60 a month, $59 a month, tax and all included, plus all the equipment included. I'm like, yeah, I'll go with that route. 200 meg internet. I mean, it's their slowest possible package, but I don't need any faster than that.
faster and cheaper than that.
Yeah, it's, if I do start needing it, I want an ability to increase it. Like $10 extra a month, I could go to 500 meg. So I like, but I don't need that for what I use it for. Okay, is yours still installing? Should be getting pretty close to getting, or let me look at your screen here. It must go real fast at the end. So that was add Windows package. You won't remember it, but you know you can do it. That's knowing something's possible is half the battle. Is this something common you would do? No, likely not. It's available if you need it, but probably not too common.
Okay. I'm done with updating.
Okay. Now you can just exit, type exit there and go to your file explorer window and right click. I think yours was D, was it? Yeah, just right click D and tell it to eject. And then you can start up server 3. I want to just go ahead and, I mean, I don't like playing with server 3. It's got a DOS screen. Close it out. I'll mess with it remotely. Let's go to server 1 and log in. Server 1.
So
Well, server 1 start server manager if it didn't start automatically. It normally starts automatically, but and then we'll check out all servers. You remember our password? Pass 1, 2, 3, 4.
the account just doesn't look the same.
Yep. So just make sure you click the start menu and the server managers on one of the tiles, as they call it. Should be the top left tile. Okay, we're going to connect to server 3. Since we're doing PowerShell today, we'll right click on server 3 and open a PowerShell window. And as always, once the PowerShell window opens, make sure it actually says server 3 in parentheses in your prompt. It's dumps me automatically into my documents folder under administrator.contoso and users. So the path is pretty obnoxious. My cursor is already on the right side of my screen. I've also have my font larger so you can see it better on the projector. So optionally, I'm just going to do CD space \. That way it doesn't start word wrapping on me and make things look confusing. I get confused when it splits lines on me. If I get confused, I expect you would get extra confused. So we're going to check out and get Windows features. So get dash Windows feature. Again, we got verb at the front. We're getting something, that's the verb. And we got the noun, which is Windows feature. So hit enter, it's going to scroll a lot on our screen. A lot of stuff. So I'm going to scroll back up here to the top, scroll all the way up until I get to the top part. What I'm wanting to add, add in a file server role. I want to add it in with PowerShell. And then I want to add in another role using the graphical tool, just to show you the difference. It'll be the same thing, just a different approach. So I scroll all the way to the very top. And I start looking and we come down here. So file and storage services is checked, but file server right here. File server is not installed. And it's not graphical. I can't just click there. I have to come over here and get the name of it. File server. You should be able to highlight it like that and hit enter. That should copy it. You can make sure it's copied by opening up Notepad. Just type Notepad in your search bar, magnifying glass, and see if you paste it in there. Did it paste the word in? Again, that's, yeah, it's highlighted. So when you click and highlight it with your mouse, it should turn kind of a peachy color or something, I don't know, orangey, whatever. And if you hit enter on the keyboard, once it's highlighted, it'll unhighlight. And that lets you know that you copied it. When it unhighlights, you should be able to go into a Notepad window and right click and paste, or Control V. Should paste it in. Is that working?
Yes, enter. Notepad.
You're using the wrong Notepad. You open up Notepad outside of your server. Yeah, close that. That's what's going. Yeah, inside. There you go. That's normal. You're not the first person I've seen do that. That's why I quickly go, oh, hey, you're in the wrong Notepad. Now you should be able to right click and paste. It should already be there. Yeah. You've already copied it, so it's just sitting there. And that's what it was. Okay. Yep. So basically what I want to do, I want to, I think it was enable. I think it's enable Windows feature dash name, I believe. I'm going to use the actual PowerShell to prompt me. So I'm going to clear my screen or scroll all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to see enable Windows. Nope. It's going to be install optional feature is not it. It's going to be install. Install Windows feature. I know optional feature means you're installing features. Install Windows feature means you're installing the roles. Should be enable role or install role or something. It should have the word role in it, but I can't fix what Microsoft named things. They did not name it appropriately to guide people. This was just one of those that searching the internet, like, why would you name it that, Microsoft? I don't know. So name, and if I right click, it still had it in my buffer and it pasted. So if I hit enter, it should install. So install dash Windows feature dash name, and then the FS file server. So let's see. How did it go with y'all's screen? See success. And I see success. Yep, file and iSCSI services, file server. Yep. We can get Windows feature again. Get Windows feature, you can hit your up arrow key to get Windows feature. And now as I scroll all the way back up here to the top, and once I get to the top, if I scroll down a little bit here, I see, what do I see now? I see a checkbox and it says installed. Pretty cool. I want to use the graphical tool, and I want to install three things with the graphical tool. I want to install data deduplication. I want to install file server resource manager and volume shadow copy service, the VSS agent. So I want to install three things, but we'll do that graphically. Some of these other features we will do in LAN 2 class. So I'm going to leave my PowerShell open, but I'm going to try to spell clear correctly. Clear my screen. I'm going to leave it open and I'm going to minimize it for now. It's still connected to server 3, but I'm going to minimize it. I can close out my notepad unless you want to keep it there just to look at. I typed the wrong PowerShell command originally anyway. So now I'm going to right click on server 3 and click on add role and feature. I could also go to manage and click add roles and features, or I can right click server 3, add roles and features. When I right click server 3, it auto selects server 3 as the destination server. So as I next through here, it should have server 3 highlighted. That's the only extra thing, is I don't have to manually click server 3 at this spot. I don't know that that's any lazier than the other way, but maybe it saves one click. So go next. Now they don't have it expanded out like they did when we seen it at the command prompt, but you'll notice there's an arrow out beside file and storage services. So if you click that arrow, there's also another arrow beside file and iSCSI services. We click it. Now it's expanded out. How that we've seen it in PowerShell. And I said we wanted to check on data deduplication, file server resource manager, and a volume shadow agent service. And those are some services that we will configure over the coming weeks. So click next. And next, well, hold on. Yep, go and click next. And install. And it's complete. Pretty cool. I'm going to click close. Now check back here on the PowerShell. I'm going to get features again. Hit my up arrow key until it gets Windows features again. Hit enter and it'll scroll back to the top. What are you going to expect to find checked? So once you get Windows feature, you should see the X's beside what we installed graphically. So yes, we did it command line one way. We did graphical the other way. We could have went ahead and installed all of those just by running the command we did for a file server, except we would have had to replace the name that we were installing, the feature name, with each one of these. So there's two routes. The graphical tool, it just ran the PowerShell command in the background. That's all it did. So it auto typed that. When we hit the check boxes, hit next, it ran the three PowerShell commands to install those three. Everybody thinks the graphics is doing stuff. Graphics doesn't do anything. And all the stuff's this in the background. That's how computers really work. And even behind all of that's the machine language, the junk that's happening inside the CPU, moving the registers and stuff, pop, move, and things like that. Assembly language. Machine language, really, not assembly. Assembly is its own coding language. Proper wording would be machine language. So I'm going to go and exit out of this PowerShell or hit the X. If this was a production system, I would go to my Windows 10 machine in my office, and I would install the features, the administrative tools to manage file server roles. However, we are going to install a Windows client. The downside is it doesn't have internet access, and it's a little bit difficult to install the management tools without internet. Microsoft is coding everything to like, you need to move everything to the cloud. Stop siloing yourself. Get on the internet. Make yourself vulnerable. No, we're controlling a nuclear power plant. No, we don't need to be on the internet. Iran wants to hack the system and shut us down. But so on my servers, I wouldn't really want to do this on the servers because everything you enable is an extra piece of software that can be hacked. Even the management tools is an extra piece of software. That's why you install the core systems out there and you don't install the graphics, because all these graphical tools have a lot more code to make the graphics, and people find vulnerabilities easy. But to make our life easier, I'm going to add role and features again. But this time, when I go through, I'm not selecting server 3. I want to manage If you want to right click server one, you can add role and feature on server one. What I did, I went to manage and add. Even if you selected server three, it should let you select server one from this point, because you can't install graphical tools on server three. They're not available. So server one though, I am going to go ahead next till I get to the feature set. I just bypassed roles and went straight to features. I need to scroll down and look for some management tools. Remote server administration tools. I'm going to hit the plus beside it. And I'm going to hit the plus beside role administration tools. There's file services tools. I'll hit the arrow beside it, and I'm going to click on File Server Resource Manager. And I believe that's the only one that we actually manage. And that's the only graphical tool out of those three services that we can actually, that has a separate tool. Server Manager itself manages the file server. The File Server Resource Manager helps manage some more advanced things, quotas and file screens and stuff that we'll talk about later on. So just that one checkbox, File Server Resource Manager, hit next and install. And then once it's complete, it won't do anything. The close button will become available. You can just hit close. So we've learned how to install some features, which y'all don't have a clue what it's all about yet, but you know how to install things. The next part is, how would you know what to install? Well, you gotta figure out, what do my clients need? What role or what feature do I need? Mostly, what role do I need to install? And is there a tool in the feature section used to configure that role? So yeah, we will start using what was installed, and you'll see what you can do for people. It looks like lunchtime on Thursday. What do I want to do on Thursday? I think I want to start looking at setting something up called storage pools. But I'll make my mind up Thursday. We'll have a Windows 10 client installed into the system. We also need to look at setting up the file server that we just installed on server 3. So I guess it depends on who all is here, what we want to do on Thursday.